Call of Duty Black Ops 6 has gone through one of the most insane roller coaster rides I've witnessed in gaming in a long time. The game was shown off with high praise and then followed with a launch that saw player counts that broke records. Now, since that moment, the game has been mired in negative news surrounding monetization and cheating, and we now hear that since launch, player numbers have significantly dropped. What's going on? And what could this potentially mean for the future of the franchise? Let's talk about it. What's up, people? It's your boy, MM2K of Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, and MM2K Gaming, back again with another episode of Quick Dose. This is where unscripted, I give my take on the latest and greatest in the video game news sphere, take the hottest topic, and we deep dive it. And today we got a good one for you. But before we get into all that, do us a huge favor, that like button, hit that subscribe button, rock those bells for notifications, please. And in rocking those bells, make sure your bell says all, not personalized. We do not want YouTube's goofy algorithm trying to tell us what content we want to see and what content we don't want to see from the people we subscribe to, right? We can make that decision on our own. All right. With that said, let's get into this, man. This is a very interesting story, and I gotta admit to you guys, I'm not the biggest Call of Duty fan. Like, I'm not a big multiplayer person, even though every year I'm impressed graphically with what I see, and it might drive me into the single player. And if I like the single player a particular year, I might hop into zombies and then go into multiplayer a little bit, you know what I mean? And I will say in this case, what I played from the single player had me interested. I've yet to try zombies. I will do so, but for the faithful, at the very least, we've done a lot of research on this. I've been checking this out because I've been trying to understand what the issue is with the skins and the cheating and the monetization and the bugs, right? And then our co-host here, Cold Blood Sensei, we met because of Call of Duty. Like, he's the one that was carrying our Broadband Bullies team when we were embarrassing other content creators. He was one of the ones that was mainly carrying us. So he knows everything about Call of Duty. So this definitely is going to be a subject matter that on our weekly podcast, in our podcast, check that out on Fridays, we're going to be talking about. He'll be able to land even more expert insight into what's going on. But I first want to go into this story by the homie Steven Totilo. All right. And in order to do so, I got to switch to here. Shout out to Steven Totilo of GameFoul. And look, I know a lot of this stuff is behind the paywall. That's the nature of the business right now. That way, to ensure that, hey, look, let there be an upfront paywall so we're not doing stuff for clicks. I think you get more honest reporting with integrity, you know, through methodologies like this, because when you do it the click for ad type thing, you're incentivized to just, you know, start stuff and get people's attention and not necessarily be truthful. And Steven Totilo is the complete opposite of that. But hey, look, things cost money. You know what I mean? So consider actually becoming a member of GameFoul, getting access to the entire articles and stuff. It's important an effort that is about giving you integral reporting in the gaming sphere. Steven Totilo writes this: Call of Duty's massive development budgets revealed $700 million for Black Ops Cold War, the biggest development budgets ever disclosed by a game company, buried in a court filing, but found by GameFoul along with updated sales figures. So the budgets for big video games are amongst the most closely guarded secrets in the gaming industry. So it is surprising that late last month, an Activision executive spelled out the development costs for 3 of the games in the company's best-selling Call of Duty franchise. In a court filing reviewed by GameFoul that has not been previously reported, Patrick Kelly, Activision's current head of creative on the Call of Duty franchises, said that 3 Call of Duty games released between 2015 and 2020 cost anywhere between $450 million to $700 million to make. Again, that is the games between 2020. It's not even Black Ops 6, so you can surmise that game prices have risen. The disclosed totals are the highest development costs ever reported by a major video games company. But again, we don't even know what 2024's Call of Duty is. All right, but by comparison, a poorly redacted court filing in 2023 from Sony pegged the development costs of things like Last of Us 2 being around $220 million, right? But Black Ops 3 was reported to be $450 million, and they sold 43 million copies of that. Modern Warfare 2019 was $640 million, and they sold 41 million copies of that. And Black Ops Cold War in 2020 ultimately was $700 million, but you saw a dip in the sales to 30 million, which is still a lot. By my estimates, they made close to 2 billion, even though it cost 700 million. All right. The above breakdown is based on the declaration filed from Kelly in court filing in California in December 2023. Why is this important? Why does this matter? Well, this matters because we're now hearing, and from a lot of fanboys, and this is why I'm covering this, because again, you know, what we try to do is we try to look at the activity of fanboys, how it may be misleading to you, the consumer, and we try to help you go through all the smoke and mirrors. Okay, so you got a lot of fanboys that just simply want to be anything pro Xbox, that made it seem like, with very limited data, that Black Ops 6 was the most successful Call of Duty yet. Now, we don't know that. They did have high player numbers, okay? But there's a lot at play here. This is the first Call of Duty that released day and date in Game Pass. And you have individuals like even Bobby Kotick that said, no, we are not going to destroy our monetization of this game by releasing a day and date in Game Pass. So there was a reason that Bobby Kotick and company were concerned about that. Now, you did see huge player counts through the Game Pass. And you did see that 86% of the sales were on PlayStation alone. But looking at the numbers that were represented in that court filing, that lets you know how expensive it potentially is to make Call of Duty. I mean, look, it went up significantly from 2015, 450 million. 2019, 640 million, right? 2020, it went up another 60 million. And 4 years after the fact, you think it still cost 700 million to make Call of Duty? No. We might be at $1 billion now to make Call of Duty. We might be at $1 billion. Stuff, I was having this conversation offline. Stuff costs more due to game development costs because these engines aren't getting any cheaper. The people that are working on them, their pays are increasing. You have American developers, you got to pay Social Security and Medicare benefits. That's a big thing, and why people do a lot of hiring overseas. That's what led to that. Okay. And then you need more people now. Development has not gotten easier as the expectations of gamers have increased as far as visuals are concerned, and people are using newer technologies. You got to hire more people. So more complicated technologies that require more development that you know, you got to utilize more expensive tools. People's wages are going up reasonably, as they should. Nobody's arguing against that. But then on top of that, you got to hire more people. Right? And you don't see a trend of this going down. So it wouldn't shock me at all if the 2024 Black Ops 6 cost $1 billion to make. So if you do the math, right? If you do the math, and I did this, for instance, with Black Ops Cold War. Black Ops Cold War, which didn't launch into Game Pass, mind you, didn't launch in the Game Pass. It sold 30 million. I did crunch the numbers, and it was like around $2.1 billion to be made. Now, granted, I crunched the numbers at a $70 price tag. Black Ops Cold War was not $70. But the reason why I did that is I want to show you guys that when you have a game that launches day and date in Game Pass, you might even be lucky to do 30 million. So I think the 30 million number probably best represents what Call of Duty Black Ops is going to sell. Black Ops 6, that is going to sell this time around. I don't know if they sold 30 million. All right. Maybe they did, but I don't know if they're going to hit Black Ops 3 or Modern Warfare numbers. And to say, did they hit 30 million? It's kind of early to tell. I don't know if they're going to rather hit 30 million. These are lifetime sales numbers that Steven Totilo had mentioned, by the way. So I don't even know, with it being day and date in Game Pass. And from what I understand, there's a lot of legacy Call of Duty people that said, oh, this is in Game Pass. I'm going to get it in Game Pass. I'm not worried about buying it, because if I don't like it, I'm abandoning it, because they've seen a decline in Call of Duty over the last few installments, right? So let's just say if the $30 million sales mark is what represents lifetime sales for Call of Duty. That means that they would have made off of sales roughly around 2.1 billion. So if you got 2.1 billion that you made off of sales, and it cost you 1 billion to make the game, I mean, you still got another billion that you got there, but then you can see why they're trying to monetize and do other things that are not popular right now. And then, unlike when Activision was its own individual company, now you got to deal with the fact that Blizzard is part of Microsoft, and they just spent around $75 billion to acquire them. So there's even more pressure to maybe squeeze more money out of the franchise to get that $75 billion back, which was the largest acquisition in business, period. Need I remind you? Ever. There's a lot of pressure to get that money back. So I don't know if, like all those fanboys out there, they want to proclaim this is the most successful Call of Duty. I don't know. I think it's too early to do that. Granted, there are, the new Game Pass people that came on there, but if you look at how many new people got on Game Pass to try Call of Duty versus how many of those same people would have actually paid the $70 to try it that way, that might be recorded as a loss by someone like Amy Hood, who reports to Satya Nadella of Microsoft, and who has really had her foot on the neck of Xbox and as far as their profitability and their success over the last couple of years. But then you got other things happening as well. It's not just the fact that there was a cannibalization of sales, but the people that did buy it, or the people that are playing it, they're losing players drastically. They're losing players due to bugs. They're losing players due to the monetization methods. And then the cheating. Like every legacy Call of Duty gamer, those are the top three things that are happening. To where, here, let me show you guys something else. This account here, which is probably one of the most important accounts on Call of Duty on X, is Charlie Intel. Charlie Intel has turned into a bad news thread of all things Call of Duty. I just want to read these two tweets. This was a pro Call of Duty account. Here's two recent tweets at the turn of the new year. $70 base game, $30 black sale per season, $20 to $30 in-game bundles, $10 base battle pass per season, new $10 event passes, no real anti-cheat, broken game. Activision have lost their minds. And then this tweet on the 3rd says, no server updates, no anti-cheat fixes, no balance, no weapon balancing. Ranked play still full of hackers. new playlists broken. The update basically shoved in more microtransactions to the game. What a mess. And then Charlie actually reaches out to Phil Spencer and Xbox and says, do you guys care about the state of your biggest franchise? This is from the biggest pro Call of Duty account. Like this account doesn't care about Xbox versus PlayStation. They don't play those games. All they care about is Call of Duty, right? This is from the biggest pro Call of Duty account out there. This is not good. And believe you me, Phil Spencer paid attention to that one. Charlie Intel has what, over 4 million followers? Yeah, 4.8 million followers on X. I'm starting to believe that launching day and date on Game Pass could have had a bigger impact than we all assumed. And that's why you're seeing some of the more heavy-handed monetization ones that have people like Charlie Intel going ape nuts. Here's my conclusion. Because if you're a Call of Duty gamer or Call of Duty faithful, a lot of this stuff you probably would have seen without me talking about it after the fact. I do want to educate you guys on this, and I do want to give a warning shot across the bow to you fanboys. This is why we as gamers have to be more educated on the stuff, the business stuff that's happening, and why. I know we want to just pick up our controller and go pew, 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 pew. But if you want to sit here and do all this arguing on Twitter or X and YouTube and all these other places, you got to understand the reasons why. As grimy and as unliked and just awful as a business person as Bobby Kotick was, what Microsoft is in the path of doing to Call of Duty probably is worse than anything that Bobby Kotick could imagine. When they acquired ABK, they gutted the company of a lot of this background support that would deal with the cheating and things like that, because they saw the ballooning cost to create the game and they said, let's skim everywhere. Let's skim everywhere. And what you're seeing is a direct result of that. And it's only going to get worse. If it's only going to get worse if we stay on this path. I think what you guys have to do is what Charlie Intel is doing. I know a lot of you that are Call of Duty gamers or faithful don't care about the PlayStation versus Xbox thing. And we focus on it here not to pick a side or grab a flag. We have a standard of quality that we would like executed. We look back at the 360 PlayStation 3 era and we say that is the apex of gaming in recent generations. Why? Because even though PlayStation stumbled at the beginning of the race, they did their best to get back on good footing, and you got some of the best games of the modern generations. I mean, look, a lot of the games that we're playing today are derivatives of those games. Like if you had like a gaming pyramid, like at the top would be the Demon Souls games, Uncharted, BioShock, and Fallout, right? You know, and all the other games like kind of, you know, fall under that tree. Fortnite or PUBG rather. You know what I'm saying? And then you could put Call of Duty up there, like the Modern Warfare series. So yeah, Fortnite, and then you know, those generations. That generation was responsible for 5 out of the 6 games, I believe, that I just named. The only one, Fortnite, came last gen, or PUBG came last gen. But again, Call of Duty, Souls games, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, that is, Souls games, BioShock, and Fallout, and Uncharted. Most of the major games that we're playing right now are derivatives of those games. And we got those games because of the nature of the competition. That's why we're focused on the console war from a business perspective, not the console war, the slang terminology, the repurposed slang terminology of it, because console war was a business term that was spoken of by the actual execs at E3. If you do your history, I was around then, so I witnessed it firsthand. That's why we're focused on this. So in being focused on this, you understand who the players are and what their patterns are and what they're likely to do. And I'm here to tell you, Call of Duty players, that this being in the hands of Xbox, I know that you guys are excited that this is in Game Pass and you can just try it out and you don't have to commit to a full $70 up front. But the things that you're sacrificing in order to get that is what people like Charlie Intel are talking about, and gamers are talking about left and right. All the games that they got on Steam, for instance, all the games that they got on Steam since launch have been wiped away. Like that, 99% of that player base that joined on Steam since Black Ops 6 launch have now dissipated. You get on upper skill ranked matches, the cheating is getting out of control. I don't got to tell you. The game is just broken, period, for a lot of Call of Duty faithful. Now, again, I'm not saying that it won't be successful, but still, because it's Call of Duty, but this talk of it being the most successful Call of Duty, I don't know about that. And I think even though this is likely still going to be successful, you're going to start seeing a downward trend. You have to speak up. You have to say something, and you can't just do YouTube videos. Like you have to do with Charlie Intel. You have to speak with your wallet. If you're playing this on Game Pass, then I get that you like that it's in Game Pass. Stop and play an older Call of Duty, which a lot of people are doing, but you can't. Twitter, arguing on Twitter amongst yourselves isn't going to do it. You have to reach out to Microsoft, Satya Nadella, even primarily Phil Spencer and Matt Booty. You got to reach out to them and tell them this is bogus, this is unacceptable, and if you want to continue getting our money, you got to do better, period. And you got to ask a question, like Charlie Intel did. Do you even care about the future of your biggest franchise? That's it from your boy. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Like I always say, I'm curious what I think, but if you did like what I had to say, check out the links below to follow me. Again, they will lead you to Hard Knock Digital Culture, Cloud Dosage, MM2K Gaming. Until next time, you all have a wonderful, wonderful gaming day. Peace.